The story of King Shahryar and his brother. There is a king of kings of Banu Sa'sun in the islands of India and China who had two sons, Shahryar and Shah Zaman. Shahryar, who is the strongest and eldest, succeeded his father. His younger brother is made king of Samarkand by Shahryar. Each rules his own country, but one day King Shahryar wants to see his brother, but his wazir advises against it, and lets his brother come to King Shahryar. So Shahryar prepares a caravan to be sent to his brother with the wazir. When he arrives, Shah Zaman says he will obey the commands, but lets the wazir stay for 3 days out of hospitality. He makes his camels and tents ready, but when he returns to the palace, because he forgot something, he finds the queen, his wife, in bed with a black cook. He cuts the two in 4 pieces with one blow of his scimitar, and departs without letting anyone know. When Shah Zaman arrives at Shahryar's court, he will not tell his brother what has happened, except that he has an inner wound. One day Shahryar goes to hunt, but his brother declines to go with him. At night he looks out from his window pondering over the loss of his wife, when 20 slave girls with his brother's wife enter the garden. 10 of the slave girls remove their clothes and turn out to be slave men. When the queen is left alone, she cries for Masood. A hideous black man appears, and the queen embraces him, after which he ravishes her. Other slaves have their passions satisfied with the slave girls. After watching this scene, Shah Zaman puts aside his own lighter calamity. He strengthens himself with food and rest, and when his brother returns after 10 days from the hunt, he rides out to meet him. King Shahryar is pleased to see color has returned in the face of his brother. Shah Zaman says he will tell his brother why he was so melancholy. After his own story he relates what he saw in the garden, and invites his brother to watch the scene himself. Shahryar sets his wazir in disguise in his stead for 3 days, leaves the palace with his brother and they both return in secret. They watch the same scene unfold as before. The brothers decide to set off on a journey to find someone who has an even worse situation compared to them so that they can feel better. They sit by a tree at the seaside. Then they hear a mighty roar and a black pillar towers from the sea. They fearfully climb the tree, and see a genie appear, with a coffer of crystal on his head. The genie sits himself at the tree and draws out of his coffer a casket with 7 padlocks of steel. He then unlocks them with 7 keys of steel and out of it comes a young lady. The genie tells his lady, snatched from her bride night, he loves her. He lays his head on his lady's thighs and falls asleep. The lady spots the 2 kings in the tree and says it is safe to come down. She then says to make love with her, otherwise she will arouse the Ifrit to kill them. They are reluctant to do this deed, but she keeps threatening them and they mount her. Then she draws 98 seal rings, and says that these are the seal rings of all the men that had her. So she asks for the seal rings of the brothers, which they give her. She tells them the Ifrit keeps her locked so that she would remain chaste. She returns to the genie and lays his head on her again. When they are gone from the lady and the Ifrit, they come to the conclusion that even a powerful being like an Ifrit has a lady who has her own way. They decide never to marry again. King Shahryar lets his wazir kill his wife, the queen, and slays the black lover, concubines, and the other slave men. He also swears that whatever wife he marries, he will kill her the next morning after taking her maidenhead. King Shah Zaman returns home, and Shahryar asks for the bride of the night and kills her the next morning. This goes on for 3 years and folk rise an outcry against the king and curse him. One day the wazir has to find another virgin but can't find one anymore. He himself has 2 daughters, Scheherazade and Dunyazad, of whom the elder had read a lot of books. She is wise and witty, and when the wazir relates his story she says she wants him to give her in marriage to the king. She will either live, or be ransom for all the virgins. The wazir is reluctant to do so, because it reminds him of the story of the bull and the ass. After telling the tale that the wazir threatens to do with her what the merchant did to his wife, Scheherazade is resilient. She threatens him by saying she will tell the king she wants to marry him, but that her father does not want her to. The wazir goes to his king and relates the story. The king is amazed as he has made an exception for the wazir's daughter. The wazir says she insisted and Shahryar rejoices. Scheherazade instructs her sister to ask for a story when she is with the king. When Scheherazade and the king are in bed and he wants to sleep with her, she starts to weep. He asks what is wrong. She says she would like to see her sister before she sees the dawn. Dunyazad is brought, and the king takes the bride's maidenhead. But at midnight, Dunyazad asks for a story. Scheherazade is willing to tell her if the king consents, which he does. And so, the first night of the 1,000 nights and a night begins.